Redundancy programme will be open shortly, but unions fear more job losses could be on the cards. That's all for now. I'll have more in an hour.
News Talk Weather.
Thanks to Des Kelly Interiors. Delivering your new bed, mattress or furniture in time for Christmas. DesKelly.ie.
Tonight will continue mainly dry apart from little patchy drizzle in the north and northwest. Lowest temperatures overnight of 2 to 8 degrees. Tomorrow will be mostly cloudy, the best of any sunshine in the south, and top temperatures of 11 to 13 degrees. And now you're up to date on News Talk.
Off the ball.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie. Championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
This is News Talk.
Welcome along. So a special Wednesday night rugby coming up. We sit down with Conor Murray. We'll chat to him about everything from his neck injury to life beside Sexton to ambitions for Munster. Rory O'Connor in studio as well. Joe Schmidt has named his 42-man squad for the November internationals. Mark Lawrenson joins us ahead of a Champions League evening at Anfield. And Miguel Delaney on the football show. He was at Old Trafford last night as Juventus completely outclassed Jose Mourinho's Manchester United. 53106 is the text number. We are at Off the Ball on Twitter. Richie McCormack is here. Hello.
Hey, Joe.
And the Irish Daily Star's Kieran Cunningham here as well. Hello.
Hello.
And Juventus really did outclass Manchester United. It was a very gaping hole between the two sides, especially in that first half.
Yeah, like what was it? Was it 10 shots to 1 in the first half? Yeah. Like it was just, there were 71% possession, depending much story you put in possession stats, but like it did sum up. Like they made them look like amateurs. Like the amount of space Dybala had when he dropped deep every time, nobody knew. Lindelof didn't know whether he should pick him up. Matic didn't know. Pogba was being Pogba, whatever that is.
Yeah.
And Lukaku was as static as everybody says he always is. And you go, like, I know Mourinho was bringing up spending and all the usual stuff after, but like, you look at what they've spent under the 3 managers since Ferguson, it's the guts of $1 billion. And you still think it needs a serious overhaul. And also, it's not all about money. Like, if you look at what Bonucci, my memory went there. Bonucci, Chiellini, the Uruguayan midfielder, what's his name again?
Bentancur.
Yeah, he was excellent. Now, he cost 8-9 million. And even Dybala was 32 million, which in the current market is a snip.
Well, with Fred sitting on the bench for about 60 million.
Yeah. So you just, like, United are 10th at the moment in the Premier League, and they're miles off City. I'm not sure if they're miles off Liverpool, but they're significantly behind Liverpool. Yeah. And they're miles off the best in Europe, which we saw. Well, City and Liverpool are among the best in Europe, but Juventus are as well, and they're miles off that. So where are they going?
No, I was just going to say that. So where do you think it is going? Do you think we're looking at a Liverpool-esque fall for 20, 30 years? The one thing that maybe insulates them is they still are the richest club in the world.
Yeah, I think that's the main difference, because a lot of those lean years, Liverpool were struggling financially. Like if you look at some of the squads, particularly more recent time under Hodgson, etc. You know, they were really struggling. But part of it seems to be. It's worrying that fans now seem quite resigned to it. You know, like this is where we are, and there should be more anger. I think
Man was almost scratching his head last night at the saying, "I can't get over how stoic the Manchester United fans are."
Yeah,
Mourinho's done a very good job of getting them on side and pointing the finger at Woodward and saying all the right things. But it is amazing, really, that he hasn't been booed really at all. Yeah,
because when Liverpool started to slip, there was a lot of anger among their support. Like there was a lot, there was.
This isn't us, etc.
Yeah, because they were used to being up there, and I don't see that. I think that anger seemed to be there at the start. Under Moy saying Van Hadden said, but now it's kind of okay. We're not where we were, but they should be up there. Like they have the clout.
Oh yeah,
and
$1 billion.
It's a directional thing. When you look at what Begiristan has done, for instance, at Manchester City, it's not Pep Guardiola. It's not necessarily the money. It's having somebody above the manager to dictate where that money should be spent and how. Like bringing in the likes. There's been no question asked of Aymeric Laporte since his arrival in January last year, because he's just been very, very good in the performances that he's put in. And there's been a string of those Manchester City players that they brought in, not necessarily heralded with any great noise. Gabriel Jesus is probably one of those. Spurs have just scored, by the way. But there's been no question of how their performances. They're all just really, really good.
PSV 1, Spurs 2. So Spurs were 1-0 down in this game. 55 minutes gone. This was one of the early kickoffs, obviously. It looks like it was Eriksson who put in the ball. It was most certainly Harry Kane who scored with a header. So after going 1-0 down away to PSV, Spurs now 2-1 up with 35 minutes to go. Van Gaal really was the most wasteful with money. I mean, the amount of dross he bought for 20 million here, 25 million there, 18 million there, just brought in a raft of what I would call Daily Blind types. Now, Daily Blind was not the worst offender by any means, but Daily Blind types, and lots of them.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point. But they're really, their biggest money signings, like Di Maria, has gone after a year. Pogba, still the most expensive midfielder in the world. Yeah. Could be gone very soon.
Sanchez looks like he's gone.
Sanchez, was...
It really looks like he's gone. It really looks like they've done a Fernando Torres to Chelsea.
Yeah, like City dodged a bullet. Like they've got Mahrez instead, and they've got much the better of the deal. But like, where do they go now? Like, when you look at the bookies' odds of the likely successors, you got Zidane and Conte, I think, is in there. Like, there's no, but like, I know Zidane won the Champions Leagues, but Real is such a strange club. You don't know if that transfers.
And by all accounts, he has no interest.
Yeah.
Either.
Yeah.
When was the last time United appointed a manager at the peak of their powers?
At the peak of their powers.
David Moyes was at the peak of his powers.
Was he though? Was he though? Because you would suggest that perhaps.
But do you want somebody at the peak of their powers, or somebody who's just going to kick on? Like Alex Ferguson was about to kick on.
Alex Ferguson 3 years before he was appointed won a European Cup Winners' Cup, when that was actually.
Yeah, but he wasn't at the peak of his powers. The peak of his powers at United.
You actually need to go back to before Alex Ferguson. So the answer to your question is a long time ago.
Yeah. But like Van Gaal was, by anyone's standards, yesterday's man when he was appointed.
I guess someone at the peak of their powers now, and also with life in them. Pochettino is the big one that jumps to mind. You feel he's the next big force.
Yeah, because I think you need personality now. That it's interesting that like Pochettino and Klopp are very much. They seem very close to players, even though they bollock them out by all accounts, particularly Klopp. But Mourinho has just this approach now that you think. You're wondering, does it work with players? And would that players at that level anymore, or they just need something different? That he could still win trophies with him,
and he has.
He has already at the club. They could still, they're 10th, but they could still get in the top 4. They're not that far adrift. But in terms of winning a league or Champions League, and United, well, I can't see that happening under Mourinho.
No, that's true. It's extraordinary, really, that a team with Rashford, Lukaku, Martial, Pogba, Mata could have looked so impotent, isn't it, really? I mean, you couldn't have done much worse if you said, lads, go out and do whatever you think is best. Yeah.
Well, it's clear. Obviously, there's issues around both talent identification and who's actually making the decisions on transfers, because Mourinho seems to... Well, not seems to. He makes it pretty clear that he's not having the final say, as he did at Chelsea. And I think this is something, that's part of the reason he seems so sour the last few years.
Yeah.
That he has his own ideas or his own players he wanted at both Chelsea and United. He's not getting them.
I'm a United fan all my life. I hope they lose now. Winning, playing like this is no good. Maybe that makes me arrogant, but I supported United when Big Ron had them. 2 wingers, attacking, won the odd cup, but with style. What we're currently watching is just beyond comprehension for any proper United fan. The phrase "I hope they lose" I've started to hear more and more from Manchester United fans, I must say.
But like last night when you're at home to Juventus, when Ronaldo was coming back and this is hyped up as so much, you've already dropped points in the Champions League, and you're on a bad run. You think they would have been pumped up from the start, but it took them going behind in an awful first half to get any energy into the team. It's not like they were brilliant the second half. They just showed a bit of bite and fight, but they were still pretty ordinary.
They were. I thought in the first 3, 4, 5, 6 minutes before it really settled down into the pattern that first half became, I thought there was a sharpness about the United players on the ball, more so than what we see from them in the Premier League. I think they actually, which is more worrying still, they did come out a bit fired up and let's do this, and then actually with the way Juventus were zipping that ball around, just kind of 5, 6 minutes later they're wrecked.
Well, Juventus looked better coached, which is an indictment. They looked far better coached than them.
No, it's true. Why don't people talk about net spend when it comes to spending players? Surely that's the most realistic figure, says Connor in Skerries, and Enda outside is
Mourinho's net spend is massive. It's over 300 million.
I was just going to say, outside Enda's stuck through. So since 2016, compared to Liverpool and Man United, and total spend is 411 million Liverpool, 392 million United. Fees received Liverpool is 289. Fees received United 85. So the net spend for Liverpool since 2016 is 121 million. The net spend for United is over double that at 307 million sterling just since 2016. And that's obviously excluding some of the Van Gaal years. So not good. We'll talk to Miguel later on the football show. He was at Old Trafford. Interestingly, he was saying that Ronaldo would have come to Manchester United, but ultimately it was Mourinho that vetoed it. Was what happened. Now, maybe given the allegations surrounding
it
could
become a very messy situation. You might be better off.
Yeah. The Newsround is brought to you this evening with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. So we mentioned Champions League, Richie.
Yeah, and after defeats for both last time out, Liverpool and Tottenham looking to get their Champions League campaigns back on the rails. They kicked off at 5-6 at the Philippsstadion in Eindhoven, where it is now PSV 1, Tottenham 2. A deflected Chucky Lozano strike gave the hosts the lead on the half hour. The lead lasted just 9 minutes with Lucas Moura levelling. Shortly after, Davinson Sanchez had a goal contentiously ruled out for offside. Why exactly, we're not too sure. The other game in we should mention Harry Kane has put them in front in the past few moments. The other game in Group B tonight has an 8 o'clock start at the Camp Nou, where Barcelona entertain Inter. There's no Leo Messi for Barca, with Rafinha replacing the injured Argentine. Following defeat to Napoli a couple of weeks ago, Liverpool welcome Red Star Belgrade to Anfield tonight. Liverpool line out with Alisson in goal. Back forward, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Joe Gomez, captain Virgil van Dijk and Andrew Robertson. Fabinho gets a start in midfield alongside Jorginho Wijnaldum and Xherdan Shaqiri, while the returning Sadio Mane starts in a front three alongside Mo Salah and Roberto Firmino. That kicks off at 8, as does the meeting of PSG and Napoli at the Parc des Princes. Thierry Henry's first European game in charge of Monaco is in Bruges, where it's currently 1-1. 18-year-old Moussa Silla gave Monaco a 32nd minute lead, only for Wesley to level with 5 minutes to the break there. A 100% start will bite the dust after 8 as Borussia Dortmund entertain Atletico Madrid. Porto start tonight's Group D action leading on head-to-head records. They're away to Lokomotiv Moscow, while Schalke travel to Galatasaray.
Now, I see as your second story in the entire world of sport, you have shamelessly put in a Bohemians under-19s game. This actually better be really good.
They're playing in Europe, Joe. They're playing in the UEFA Youth League, and they're at home to Mitchell in the game. Not long underway at Dalymount Bowes, trailing 2 on an aggregate from the first leg. 0-0 the latest score there.
And no Bob Marley references.
No Bob Marley starting up front.
You literally moan if I have a Tiger Woods story on page 4, and you've just done that. This will be noted.
No, because you go, we'll skip forward to the Tiger Woods story. I see he's coughed here on page 4.
In fairness, we probably 15 minutes Bowes talk last night.
Yes, Bowes have had an unbelievable time. So Conor Murray is on the way just after 8 o'clock.
Yeah, he says it was never his intention to mislead anyone about the nature of his injury. The Munster scrum half hasn't played since the third test in the series win over Australia due to what had been an unspecified neck injury. It's no longer unspecified. He's hoping to return by the end of November. He's revealed that he's been suffering from a bulging disc in his neck and says it was never his intention to be secretive.
To clear the air, it was from the beginning. We were unsure of how long it would last. Now the medical staff were cool to do whatever I want to do, because it's my right, I suppose. I was like, let's just say we're dealing with an injury, because it could have been 4 weeks or it could have been 4 months, or longer or shorter. We didn't know until things settled down and I started to progress. So,
who's that devil interviewing him, Joe?
Yeah, so that was me, Richie, as you can tell.
He was doing the rounds today.
He was, yeah. He was out with Pinergy, so he was doing lots of interviews. And I had spent a good 45 minutes this morning looking up GDPR laws, and I was looking forward to an interesting conversation. And, do you have to let the club know your data? So potentially, does Johan van Graan even know what's wrong with you? And is it just you and the doctor? And ultimately, is that going to be the working way forward? And did you do it so you get a contract and all this stuff? And I said to him 30 seconds beforehand, I'm going to talk to you about the injury. He's like, ask whatever you want.
It's funny.
Let's chat all about it.
Yeah, because I read a few pieces going up online of the various things he'd done, and obviously everyone's asked him with this, but I think a lot of people made the assumption because of what Jamie Heaslip had said about, these things are confidential medical information in regards to injuries, etc. It's your info, you should guard it jealously. So everybody just assumed that Conor was taking the same approach, but he was... I was looking at, I'm sure you come to in your own interview, I was reading stuff about what he was saying about it. I would think it's still of concern, though, that because he mentioned the amount of wallops he's got in the neck, that it's a hard one to manage, when you play a game like rugby.
Just generally particularly for any player.
Yeah, and given his importance for the World Cup, like he's like, I know a lot of people you talk to say he's Ireland's most important player. Yeah. And there's a stated target now that's been thrown down to the RFU. You have to get the semi-final, which is likely beating South Africa, who looked decent again. So you want him to be fit.
You do, for sure. And he's had a great injury record really down the years. He's missed very few big games that you can think of. So
but that was Heaslip as well. So
it's true.
It can happen. You can get one bad one and it's hard to shake off.
It's true. So. He's back the end of November and he's taking his time and doing loads of strength tests and hopefully back up to speed. So we'll bring in that Conor Murray interview just after 8 o'clock, and then Rory O'Connor will be in as well to continue the rugby chat. The squad was named today for November.
Yeah, no Murray, of course, in that Ireland squad for the autumn internationals. However, Joe Schmidt has named 3 uncapped players in an engorged 42-man squad for tests with Italy, the All Blacks, Argentina and the USA. Ulster centre Will Addison, Munster's Sammy Arnold and Leinster at half Ross Byrne all have the chance to impress the head coach with less than a year to go to the World Cup. Munster's Rory Scannell and Connacht out half Jack Carty among those to miss out this afternoon.
Yeah, 42-man squad. He'll be taking a 31-man squad to Japan.
Yeah.
So plenty of big names are going to be cut. It must be the strongest 42-man squad we've ever had, really.
The depth is incredible.
Yeah.
And there's players that are injured that weren't even in consideration when you consider like Chris Farrell, etc. at Munster, that are nowhere near being fit.
Chris Farrell, who got a man of the match the last time he played for Ireland.
Murray obviously is going to be that, so that's at least 44. You can probably tip on to 47, 48, maybe even 50 players that are the Ultan Delans of this world that might still play themselves back.
Yeah, that's what. Because one or two will emerge.
Yeah.
That's happening every year in rugby.
There's a few people saying Addison could be the one in the back.
Addison played underage for England, didn't he? So what's his qualification? I'm not sure his backstory.
He's got family in Fermanagh.
Okay, so he's English born, obviously. Yeah. Okay.
They're saying he's a utility back, could fill in lots of positions. That's a tempting person to take in a squad, obviously. And like he only took 2 scrum halves in 2015.
Yeah.
And he's got a selection of scrum halves now. So all of these things are swirling around. Like you could have if you took 2, you could have 2 scrum halves. So Marmion, McGrath, John Cooney, and Murray. If you only took 2, then you're leaving behind 2 very good scrum halves. So
can you remember offhand the schedule?
For these games?
For the World Cup games?
No.
Just looking at how will he rotate it.
I only just looked at the schedule for November today. I mean, bite size, Kieran, bite size.
It's a long way away, in fairness.
Italy, I know, are first up.
Yeah.
That's your cue.
So he's going to play first choice or first up. They always do.
I think it's Italy. What's the other game? The All Blacks are third and it's USA last. Do you know?
I'm thinking of the World Cup. November.
Yeah, November.
Can we deal with the present? Bit of mindfulness, please, Kieran.
November. Yeah, it's literally in the order I read them there. So it's like Italy, All Blacks, Argentina, USA.
Argentina's the same week as.
I thought Argentina was after the All Blacks.
Oh, sorry, New Zealand's
literally
the same
what
week
I
as
just
Denmark,
said.
I think.
No, you said.
No, I said Italy, All Blacks, Argentina, USA.
Yeah, I think Argentina is before the All Blacks. Sorry.
Okay.
I think All Blacks is third last, and Argentina is before the All Blacks. I'm 99% sure that's what it is. I mean,
you are the rugby
everybody listening's got a phone.
I know, it's so annoying.
Why are we talking about this?
Sitting in a pub, just Google it. We'll confirm it for you. Don't Google it. So, with the Italy game in mind, that's your cue.
Very good. Yeah,
done that twice now for you.
It's a nice seamless segue, Joe. Well done. Dublin-born Ian McKinley set to face Ireland at Soldier Field on November 3rd. The Benetton out half named on Italy's bench for the first of Ireland's autumn internationals in Chicago. McKinley has plied his trade in Italy since 2013 after the use of pioneering goggles allowed him circumvent a career-threatening eye injury. Conor O'Shea has taken the unusual step of naming his side a full 10 days out from the game. Watch and learn.
Doing a trap. Yeah.
So it is Italy, then it's Argentina on November 10th. The All Blacks game is the 17th of November, a Saturday, and then the USA again the following week. So it's Italy.
Yeah, because the All Blacks is just before, because Ireland played Denmark on the 19th. It's soccer.
Okay.
So it's the same couple of days. Yeah,
so we need to pick me up, is what you're saying?
What?
The country will need to pick me up.
Giant bring me down.
That'll be in our house, wherever that is.
The middle of the street.
So St. Pat's have a new manager, and it's not Kenny Cunningham.
It's Kenny, all right. Harry Kenny. He is the new manager in Inchicore. The former Bray boss succeeds Liam Buckley, who left Richmond Park after 7 years in charge. Harry Kenny previously served as an assistant under Buckley in their title-winning season of 2013. And it's believed Kenny's beaten some strong competition for the job, including, as you mentioned, former Republic of Ireland captain at that moment in time, Kenny Cunningham. Dundalk dominate this year's shortlist for the PFAI Premier Division Player of the Year. 29-goal Pat Hooban, winger Michael Duffy and midfielder Chris Shields will all battle it out for the honour. 4 more Dundalk players make the Team of the Year, which sees Bowes Shane Supple start in goal, Sean Gannon and Sean Hoare of Dundalk alongside Sean McLaughlin of Cork City and Bowes Dara Leahy in the back 4. A midfield trio of Dundalk's Chris Shields, Bastian Heary of Waterford and Robbie Benson again of Dundalk. And then up front it is the Dundalk pair of Duffy and Hooban alongside Cork's Kieran Sadlier. Young Player of the Year is a fight between Bowes Daniel Kelly, Jamie McGrath of Dundalk and Shamrock Rovers' Dylan Motts, who of course started the season at Bowes.
Liverpool somehow got 120 million for Coutinho, which would have massively helped their net spend. Well, yes, it would have. But
Yeah,
by the
but
same
that's-
token,
That was his market value at the time.
why can't
But then-
Manchester United spot a good player,
But
buy
when
him
you say
on
the
the
net
cheap,
spend, but then
bring him up?
they broke the bank for Alisson and Van Dijk as well. So,
But I mean,
that's all.
buying a Coutinho for, spotting him, identifying him, bringing him to
Yeah.
the club, improving him massively, getting great value out of him, and then selling him on, that's a good thing, surely.
I don't know. Did you read a few weeks ago Jonathan Northcroft's piece in the Sunday Times with their scouting?
Yeah.
About how their talent identification system, which they scouted 30 centre halves before settling on Van Dijk.
Yeah.
Like that's how comprehensive it was. Whereas what I find interesting,
Mourinho watches the World Cup and says, that Harry Maguire's good.
but I find that interesting because, remember, they obviously wanted to buy him in the summer of 2017 and they couldn't do the deal with Southampton at the time. And a lot of Liverpool fans were saying, oh, why is there no plan B? But they don't work that way. They waited because they had gone through 30 players and decided this is one we want.
Nobody wants to sign
we're gonna-
Sartorius Kyriakos.
Yeah, so we're going to wait 4 months to get him. So that's why I wonder about the Fekir thing. Like, is this the approach they take to all transfers? And they obviously had agreed 50 million for Fekir. He'd even done in-house videos, and then some issue came up, whether it was a medical or whatever it was.
They were looking to renegotiate the fee in terms of the
Yeah, so I
medical.
wonder are they coming back to that, because I presume they did scout a lot of people before settling on him. That seems to be the way Klopp operates.
I think that's what Liverpool have done so brilliantly, and it's the exact opposite of the Van Gaal approach. So Van Gaal is throwing out 20 million on different players all the time. None of them are changing the quality of the team, and Liverpool have surgically gone out and said Van Dijk, yes, Keita, yes, new goalkeeper. What does it cost? Okay, we'll pay the 70 million, done. And those 3-4 players transform the team.
Yeah.
Whereas United have 20 million Daily Blinds. I keep going on about Daily Blind. He was fine.
Or Daily Blind.
Who are the others I'm thinking of?
Marcus Rojo is one of them.
Yeah, like loads of them. Like 20 of them.
But you see the way it's approached, because like this was brought up when, obviously in very sad circumstances after Liam Miller passed away, but people referencing the story of how he was signed for United, that Ferguson had actually gone there to watch Vincent Kompany, and he was taken by Miller and they will sign him. Like nowadays, well, with the Liverpool approach, that wouldn't happen.
No.
Maybe some other managers still work that way, but...
Walkinstown, Beckenbauer in touch. Lads, Klopp is only short of kissing his players on the lips when he makes a substitution. What about a good old handshake?
Nothing's wrong with that.
I must say, I do enjoy Klopp and his hugs and kisses for his players.
I want one.
It's the warmth.
It's the goal in my life
beaming
now,
off
is to
them.
get a hug off Jurgen Klopp.
Whereas anytime Mourinho makes a substitute, you think even if there's a half pat in the back, you're like, okay, at least there's not a row breaking
You
out.
need a mix. You need a few people like Klopp in the world.
You sure
You
do.
don't want all sour, whatever it's like.
Like Richie.
You can say Sarah
Mourinho.
yours.
Danny Cipriani.
He's received a 3-week ban following his sending off against Munster in the Heineken Champions Cup last Saturday. The Gloucester out half was sent to the line for a dangerous tackle on Rory Scanlon in the Thomond Park defeat for his side. He can play against Cipriani on the 12th of November.
Interestingly, he was given 6 weeks, and then they reduced it because he gave a fairly quick show of remorse, and then his disciplinary record is very good. So, I mean, that's it. They're really standing by the referees here. It's hot on the heels of the Jerome Kano 5-week ban. There's a 3-week ban down from 6. So the message is being put out there. Not only will you get sent off, you'll get a proper ban as well. You'll miss some games. And the fascinating thing is going to be see how quickly this is eradicated from rugby. Or will we have months and months and months of big games being quote-unquote ruined by these quirky decisions. Not quirky decisions, but decisions that 2 years ago or a year ago
weren't being made.
Eddie O'Sullivan pointed out on Monday that they're not necessarily going to be ruined, but we're going to be questioning, because nobody wants to get to a situation where 12 is playing 13 by the end of the game. So you'll have one that's rightfully sent off, and a situation like last Saturday where you're questioning another 3 or 4,
12 trees.
which is just a nonsense by that stage,
12 trees one was worse, everybody says. So, it'll be very interesting. Manchester United? Or is that where you're going?
Yeah, Jean Diesel. He's become the 6th Ulster player to retire within the past year or so. The 33-year-old former Springbok flanker has reached the decision due to a succession of injuries. Diesel returned from a serious knee injury in September and went on to make 3 Pro 14 appearances this season before opting to retire. He follows in the footsteps of Tommy Bowe, Paul Marshall, Andrew Trimble, Jared Payne and most recently Peter Brown in calling it a day while at Ulster.
There was a great, I don't know if you saw this just briefly, a column a couple of weeks ago by Donal Lanahan in the Examiner, but he just went through all the 4 provinces and their squads of available fit players for their first game of the season, and listed off the players who were unavailable through injury. And this was for the start of the season, after pre-season, before they played a single game, and it was scary. Like the lists were, there was just, you were going through reams of lists and various knocks. And it's just the toll is just immense.
When you think about it, like the provinces are going through 60 players a year.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah. And
it's
nobody
by
knows, because
necessity.
it's still a new sport in effect, because professional rugby is a different sport to what it was.
Yeah.
Nobody really knows the toll till another 20, 30 years.
No, it's true.
You know.
So still 2-1 Spurs, 75 minutes on the clock, PSV at home this evening. And I should mention on the rugby front that we're live from the Olympic Theatre. Our Off the Ball Roadshow in association with the Heineken Rugby Club is live from the Olympia on Tuesday, November 13th. So we're going to have Paul O'Connell there, Brian O'Driscoll there, and Keith Wood, and an All Blacks legend as well that we'll reveal in the next few days. So if you want to come along, lots of tickets are going fast. offtheball.com/events is where you'll get those tickets. So that's the latest Off the Ball Roadshow in association with Heineken Rugby Club. And remember, the event is for over 18s only. Visit drinkaware.ie. We'll take a short break and then Mark Lawrenson will be with us.
Off the Ball.